y'all, this is Outrigger install part 1. Basically this is just the make a mess stage. So what I did here was remove the teak trim and remove a wooden panel to gain access behind here to the fiberglass and make everything a whole lot easier. So what I'm going to do is beef this up. This is fairly thin. And there's going to be a lot of weight mounted on here with the outriggers, especially deployed. So I'm going to clean this up, go to West Marine, spend a bunch of money, and get some heavy fiberglass and put an extra layer on here, as well as make backing plates for the mounting hardware. For comparison, this is what it looked like before I started to destroy it. Had some teak trim and this wood panel right here. Alright, want to do an update, and naturally as my projects go, we always make a big mess. So where we're at right now is I ground down all the existing glass, roughed it up, put one layer of thin cloth down, and kind of glued that in. Then what I did is mix some thickened epoxy, smear it all over the back side of this board, jam it on there. And to fasten it, I went ahead and started templating the holes to where they're going to mount. And what I did is just drilled a 3/16 hole and used some random screws I had laying around to go through there and hold the plywood while it's curing. What's left to do here is I'm going to cover this whole piece of ply in resin and probably just put another layer of glass over it just for good measure, and then kind of tab all this in all through there and see if I can't join it up in this bulkhead some, and down here at the bottom just tab it in as well. But this 3/8 ply should be a whole lot better backer than just nothing. So putting these in, we're going to make sure everything's nice and strong, don't have any flexing or stress cracks. So if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. So that's where we're at right now. We're just getting the backer piece of plywood glued in, glassed in, and templated how I want the outriggers to be, sitting right there. I think while this starts to cure up, I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup, start pulling apart this side, and get this panel off, and maybe do some grinding as well, and see how much daylight I have left. But that's where we're at right now. This is definitely the first time, I've ever done this, so there's definitely a little bit of a learning curve here. All right, I suppose it's time for a little update. We're about 6 hours into the project. Got the panel taken off, ground out the original fiberglass, put a layer of glass, did thickened epoxy, 3/8 marine ply, some more glass over top of that, and used the screws, or the holes rather, from where the outriggers are going to mount, and then use those screws just to hold the wood tight and get a good bond. Same thing on this side. We just repeated the process. Had two fasteners I couldn't get out, holding that piece of plywood to the bulkhead right here. Kind of had to get creative with the snipping tool and cut some fasteners. I got the little heater unsafely heating the epoxy because it is just on the edge of being too cold to do this, so can't hurt to get things a little bit warmer. So again, that's fine. That's fine. So got this going, got all the glass work done, all the epoxy done. I think what I'm going to do now is take the extra plywood and cut some decent size backers to go where the 4 mounting bolts are. Here, I'll show you. So where all these have 1, 2, 3, 4 mounting holes, I think I'm going to cut a big piece of plywood and then use some oversized washers, and I'm going to through bolt everything with, I think this is going to be 1/4 of course, get stainless steel, and everything will be through bolted and backed. And with all of that, she shouldn't go anywhere. I've seen this installation done on the same boat that I have, and no one had mentioned doing any of this extra work. And maybe they use more glass on the later boats, but this one just seemed too thin to me. So if it's worth doing, it's worth way overdoing. So got a huge mess as normal. So I think we got the majority of the work done. It's just going to be installing the Outrigger bases tomorrow after the epoxy cures overnight. And I'm going to refinish the teak trim and probably put a fresh coat of paint on the pieces of plywood that cover that whole panel there. Go ahead and make it real nice. So, all right, catch you all in the next update. All right, well, it's the next day. All the fiberglass and epoxy is cured. So I went ahead and templated and drilled out the rest of the holes. And you can see there, I put some 3M 4200 sealant in there to keep everything nice and dry. So next I got a piece of rubber to go in between the outrigger and the hull, and then shove some more sealant up in there. And I have all stainless steel hardware, screws, nuts, washers, etc. So we're getting there. Here's the rubber backing plates, or not backing plates, but just gaskets I made just to add a little final touch. All right, second update for Sunday. Got this side installed. I did extra backing plates on the top two because the way the force is going to be, that's going to be pulling out and the base will be pushing in. What I did have to do is double up the washers to get those snug without deforming too much. I thought that was worthwhile. And on the final check on this, I'm going to go ahead and add a second nut as well, just so they don't back off and they'll lock each other together. That's what it looks like. Coming right along. This side next. All right, update 3, I think, for Sunday. We have the outriggers on the boat. They are both installed and secured. I'm gonna just do the finishing touches and check everything one more time for tightness. And then it's starting to reassemble and some fresh paint and all that good stuff. So get ready to do some sanding and get rid of all that, clean that trim up. Well, what's behind the trim, but gonna clean it up anyway. Get that done. And I'm going to put an extra nut on all that, but got it nice and tight, secure. The rubber gasket was nice, and of course when all that cures, I'm going to cut the excess off. But now it turned out really good. I'm pretty happy with that. Of course, there's 2 more sections of the poles, which obviously doesn't fit underneath the shed, but pretty happy with that. Kind of a pain in the butt, but it's a boat. Most of it's a pain. Some fun. But no, I'm pretty happy with how this project turned out, and really kind of overkilled on everything, but I don't want these to fall off the boat, so it's probably worth overdoing it. All right, catch you next time when I'm gonna get those cleaned up and sanded and get this trim done and start putting stuff back together. Well, here's my absolute favorite part, is cleaning up the giant mess that I make while working. Oh, it's scattered all the way over there. Tools everywhere, pieces everywhere. Oh, put stuff up there. Somehow, always a mess. But that's how I operate.